Over the last decade, we often get asked, how do you measure your impact, Furniture Bank? Today, we're going to unpack in a lot of detail how we go about measuring what matters. And as I often like to say, how do we calculate the return on dignity? With me, I have Melik DeWint, who is our impact consultant, who's been helping us further improve our methodologies and systems. Today, we're going to walk through everything that we are at Furniture Bank. And if you have questions, we're happy to answer them. So most people who are watching this video may not know what a Furniture Bank is. So I wanted to start with some context for what Furniture Bank is, what we do, and what hundreds of organizations like us do around North America. And I often start with bringing people up to speed on three truths that you're likely not aware of. The first is that in North America, there's over 12 million tons of furniture and home good waste destroyed in landfills or incinerators every single year. That is horribly bad for the environment. The second truth is that furniture and home goods are going to be the third most expensive purchase that any one of you make in your life after housing and cars. I've excluded kids. The third truth is that we have millions of people in empty housing, but do not have the adequate furnishings to be able to call it a home. And those three truths, when they get combined, end up creating a situation where you have people that are housed but are still technically homeless. We often talk about who are these people out in the public lens. We talk about people who are homeless on the streets. We talk about people who are in shelters. And then we talk about market rental housing and homeowners. And there's this middle portion. In Toronto, our organization is supporting individuals and families that are in that transitional housing, in social housing, in affordable rental housing. You get the necessary assets to be able to take that housing and turn it into a home. And when we look at the need across the country, our data is suggesting there's about 1 million people across Canada that are in this risk of furniture poverty, where they are not able to have equipped housing to be able to be successful. So at Furniture Bank, we use the language of homing, that we are providing homing solutions for families and the agencies that they work with, that housing starts empty, but when you start adding the individual elements like chairs and tables and beds and home goods and a little bit of transportation, because furniture is bulky, you end up creating the conditions for home. Furniture Bank, one of our goals is to have an additional definition for homing end up in a dictionary one day, which you can see here, which is the act of transforming empty housing into a nurturing and personalized environment, creating a sense of belonging and stability through the intentional addition of furniture and personal items and community support. Oftentimes the question is, well, what goes into a home? Most of us have never been in a situation where our housing starts empty. We don't actually know. And generally, what we see with the families that we are supporting is some families need over 25 items. This is just a table of the types of items and a visual representation of all the things that we have at home that we need in order for it to be successful. So that's a context of what Furniture Bank is doing every day and what organizations like us are doing across North America every day at different scales and different communities. I want to shift to why being intentional with measuring matters so much today and how it can benefit an organization when it starts to invest the time and energy to do so. For Furniture Bank, these are our own experiences. There may be others, but for us, what we find having this management system in place gives us four major capabilities that we didn't and wouldn't have if we weren't intentional with our measurement methods. Most importantly, it provides us a tool that we can actually track real impact for all the stakeholders that we're affecting. Second, it creates opportunities for us to actually adapt our programming with confidence quickly. We have found our ability to create new programs and adapt them is far faster now, having an actual impact measurement methodology, than had been the case, say, 10 years ago, when all we were reliant on were stories and photographs. A lot of the programs that we launched recently, Sleep Well, adjustments to how we interact with corporate partners and the like, all stem from having real-time loops of information to help us guide how we improve our programs based on the feedback directly from those that we're impacting. Fundraising today is challenging, and it's getting more challenging that the funders are expecting far more than counts, pictures, and stories as a way of documenting the impact your organization has. And the fourth one is that when you work with corporations, they can't invest in your own organization with just the heart. They have to be able to point to ROIs for being able to make financial or in-kind donations. So now we're going to switch and move to behind the scenes. For those of you who have been following Furniture Bank, you may have read our reports, you may have seen the result, but this is the first time we've really unpacked what is going on behind the scenes. How does it work? And I'm going to hand this to Melik, who's been helping us the last 2 years streamline and standardize the processes to something that is repeatable and manageable, not just for Furniture Bank, but also, we hope, other organizations like us that are partnering with us through our support services work.
I would like to talk you through some of the work that we did in 2020 to improve the impact measurement activity and the processes of Furniture Bank. As Dan mentioned, Furniture Bank has been doing impact measurement and leading impact measurement efforts in its sector for a number of years, probably a decade. And we did have a closer look into this together at the end of 2020, and we did a kind of an audit about what's Furniture Bank doing, what can Furniture Bank do better, are there any areas of improvement, are there any idle processes or activities. So as a result of that process, we identified a roadmap, an improvement roadmap, which we followed during 2024. These ingredients that you see on the screen are actually, if you like, sometimes linear, but not always, sometimes circular processes that we went throughout the year that I would like to share with you today. So it goes from stakeholder mapping to pillar identification, SDG mapping, theory of change, how did we do it at sort of program level, pillar level, and how it all folded up to an impact measurement frame. Dan mentioned in the previous slides a lot about our SROI, about Furniture Bank's SROI, also sort of finishing off with our SROI models and also opportunities for your organization. Well, let's start with stakeholder mapping. We started our impact measurement process with mapping Furniture Bank's key activities with the individuals and organizations that are impacted by these activities. And we identified 9 key activities and developed a brief description for each activity. As we were developing the descriptions, we also identified the individuals and organizations that are directly engaged in and therefore impacted by these activities. So this was our starting point. And then we continued with identifying the pillars after mapping the stakeholders and activities. And we created 4 themes or pillars under which we categorize those 9 activities of Furniture Bank. And these pillars are homing, social employment, sustainable consumption, and network development and capacity building. Homing pillar includes all activities that serve social service agencies and their clients. Social employment pillar is the leg up program through which Furniture Bank provides employment opportunities to individuals that face barriers to employment. Sustainable consumption pillar includes activities that are related to recycling and reusing furniture, and also includes corporate volunteering, because We thought this activity also raises awareness on furniture waste and may lead into positive environmental behaviors for corporate volunteers. And finally, network development and capacity building is about the Furniture Bank support services and Furniture Bank's efforts in expanding its impact by providing services to other reuse charities across Canada and to ultimately collectively increase capacity. And following this, after we identified pillars, we did another type of mapping, which is we mapped these pillars and the key activities with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And we did this mapping at target and indicator level rather than just the goal level, because we wanted to make sure that we can back up Furniture Bank's contribution to these global goals with evidence. And as a result of the review of all targets and indicators against Furniture Bank's activities, we identified 4 SDGs that Furniture Bank directly contributes to. So SDG 1, no poverty, and we basically identified Furniture Bank contributes this. The second SDG we identified was SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. And again, Furniture Bank contributes to this goal through its Leg Up social employment program. SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, and homing pillar and its activities help Furniture Bank contribute to this SDG. And finally, SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, and Furniture Bank contributes to this SDG through the activities in the sustainable consumption pillar. And after all these mapping, we wanted to understand and articulate the changes that the individuals and organizations experience as a result of their engagement with Furniture Bank and its activities for each pillar. So we use this theory of change framework to illustrate the audiences, activities, outcomes, and impact in each pillar. And if we look at each element of this framework briefly to see how it works, in the Who section, we already identified the individuals and organizations impacted in each pillar. We classified them into direct audiences, indirect audiences, and key partners. In the How section, we populated it with the activities that fall under each pillar. In the intended impact section, we used a mixture of surveys, interviews, focus groups, and the review of secondary research, as well as Furniture Bank's key documents and reports to identify the changes that the direct audiences in the Who section might have experienced. These changes are important to note here because these are the ones that are in the sphere of influence of Furniture Bank, and they are the changes or outcomes that Furniture Bank can keep itself accountable for. Moving on to the ultimate impact, we articulated the broader social or environmental issue that Furniture Bank's activities and outcomes from these activities could potentially lead to. This level of impact represents the North Star and the change we would like to see in the world. So at this level of impact, it is shared accountability with the other actors in the system, and it's difficult to measure Furniture Bank's specific part of this ultimate impact. So because of this, impact measurement efforts concentrate on measuring the outcomes identified in the intended impact section. So using this framework, we developed 4 impact pathways corresponding to each of the pillars. So in the homing pillar, as you can see, I'm not going to go into the detail, but we're going to see some of these outcomes when we are sharing the results in a minute. But maybe we can look at that ultimate impact for each of them and what sort of bigger problem that the Furniture Bank is solving. So for homing, it was basically ultimately contributing to all individuals and families experiencing furniture poverty in the Greater Toronto Area achieve sustainable livelihoods and become active members of their communities. And when we move on to the second pillar, which is social employment, and again, when we look at the sort of that ultimate impact, all of these activities are contributing to the participants of the social employment program, breaking barriers to employment and achieve sustainable livelihoods and become active members of their communities. And in the third pillar, which is sustainable consumption, again, the ultimate impact we identified as individuals and corporates across the Greater Toronto Area recycle the furniture and household items they no longer need and divert their furniture waste from the landfills, ultimately reducing their environmental impact. And finally, in the fourth pillar, network development, the ultimate impact we articulated as all furniture banks in Canada are empowered to create a Canada where everyone in need has access to furniture, where furniture poverty and furniture waste is minimized. So all of these four pillars and all of the work that we did, all of the mapping we did, we used all of this information to roll this up to an organizational level theory of change for Furniture Bank. So basically, you see the same sort of structure from activities, outputs, intermediate outcomes, target outcomes, and impact goals. And we also developed an intended impact statement that basically speaks to Furniture Bank's plans for expansion and growth, and basically also provides clear targets for up to 2030. It's a large document, so it's very detailed, especially in comparison to our other theory of change, which we still continue to use, which is still relevant and valid. But the difference of this sort of new, refreshed, new version of theory of change is it is measurement-based, so it is to guide our impact measurement efforts. It is also for those who would like to dig in a little bit more into, how Furniture Bank's activities, what those activities are, who are the stakeholders that Furniture Bank is working with or engaging with, and how exactly does that change happen through activities and sort of short-term outcomes and mid-term outcomes, and ultimately the ultimate impact.
Yeah, I just want to build on that, Melik. So this theory of change that we're looking at here is essentially for those who want to really dig in. Historically, we've relied on this visual. We were working with an old theory of change model. What we found is the majority of people needed a simple visual metaphor of how does it all work? How does everything connect? This preceded all of the work that we did. And what you're seeing here is the detail behind it that we were able to complete this last year, tied into the actual metrics and measurements and research that we've got underway.
As the next step, all the outputs and outcomes of the pillars and activities were mapped in a comprehensive Excel-based IMM framework. And we designed this framework to facilitate the setup of an active profile on an IMM software aligned with the Common Approach to Impact Measurement's common data standards. But just to let you know that this framework was set up to be able to transfer all of this data into that software. And it includes indicators for measuring both outputs and outcomes, links to measurement tools, and detailed information on when and by whom the measurements should be conducted, and also where the results should be stored. It aims to enable the effective management and maintenance of IMM tools for year-round data capture, and it's also meant to serve as the primary IMM resource for Furniture Bank staff. And also to mention that the development and implementation of this IMM framework is funded by Makeway's Innovive program. Last bit is about data collection and storage. And for data collection, we use, in Furniture Bank, we use Typeform, and we run a number of ongoing and periodic surveys that are designed to gather evidence for the outcomes we identified for each audience group. And we have also set up an automation between Typeform and Google. And the data collected through the surveys set up on Typeform directly gets transferred to a dedicated folder in our Google Suite in real time. This saves a lot of time for downloading the data for analysis or accessing the most up-to-date data. And we then analyze the data using descriptive statistics and gather insights from the direct audiences of Furniture Bank's activities about their experience and impact. We are in the process of taking this one step further to link this up to the new IMM software we will start using soon. And this step will enable us to develop dashboards that will visualize our most recent impact data with a lot less effort. And will be a game changer in communicating Furniture Bank's impact. In addition to gathering insights through data analysis, we use the data to update and continuously improve our social return on investment model, SRI model. So SRI has been a key impact measurement methodology at Furniture Bank, and it allows us to demonstrate Furniture Bank's impact and its monetary value. Formed by secondary research due to lack of primary data from our beneficiaries and other target audiences. In 2023, we made some progress. We started to collect some data from the leg up participants. 2024, we were able to collect data from all stakeholders that are sort of included in the analysis, which actually helped us to completely transform our SROI model from being a forecast model or forecast analysis to being an evaluative one, which means that our results now reflect the actual impact and social value generated, and it provides a more accurate and evidence-based representation of Furniture Bank's work. So this is behind the scenes. This is how we did it and how we are sort of going to continue to do it, of course, always with improvements. And maybe we can look at some results from our 2024 impact measurement activity. So what you see on the screen is all of the stakeholder groups or audiences in 2024 and the key outputs about sort of these audiences. So Furniture Bank reached out to almost 7,000 individual clients in 2024 and just over 3,000 households received furniture. The percentages you see in green shows the increase from last year. So that's another thing that, especially with the framework, we are able to do now. So we basically established 2023 as the baseline, and then we basically put the 2024 data next to it, and now we are able to see the areas of growth where Furniture Bank did better or worse in terms of its outputs. So as you can see, it's a very positive table that we are seeing here, with the exception of the number of regular volunteers coming down. All of the other outputs in terms of individual clients reached, a number of social employment program participants, number of social service agencies that Furniture Bank worked with. Another thing to mention, there's a 100% increase in corporate volunteers in 2024 in comparison to 2023. So this gives us a snapshot of what 2024 looked like in comparison to 2023.
Most people, when they think of impact measurement, oftentimes I've heard people say, like, we're only helping one group. And what you're seeing on this screen is there are 9 different groups. Some of them are people, some of them are organizations, some of them are the environment. And I think it's important to understand that all organizations like a Furniture Bank touch so many different stakeholders, and this approach to measurement allows you to capture and ultimately communicate how you impact all of those, both internally and externally.
And when we look at our social return on investment ratio for 2024, it was for every $1 invested in Furniture Bank in 2024, $6.49 in measurable social, environmental, and economic value was created. And we saw, not surprisingly, the majority of this social value with the Furniture Bank's work with clients and social service agencies, and followed by sustainable consumption, which again includes environment and also the activities relating to furniture collection. And we also have a small percentage of leg up social employment program contributing to the social value for 2024.
I'll speak for my own experience is that this SROI, having the ability to lead off with strangers about this idea, if you invested $10,000 in a grant to Furniture Bank, it would have a multiplier effect of over 6 times. It triggers deeper conversations, and it allows the opportunity to unpack what it is we do, how we go about doing it. And it gives funders the confidence that we are following, we're quite rigorous with our processes, that they can have confidence that if they were to make a financial gift or an in-kind gift, that would actually be tracked and could be reported on in the future. This is a breakdown of that previous pie chart. And as you can see, client beneficiaries, the individuals and families, 59% of the social value, and the furniture donors and social service agencies are the other 2 groups that make up the largest social value generated in the work that we did in 2024.
So maybe we can share some insights from these stakeholder groups. So when we started this section, we talked about the outputs. I referred to them as outputs. So when we talk about outputs, we are talking about numbers of things, number of individuals we reached, number of social service agencies we worked with, number of individual furniture donors who donated their furniture. So we are talking about numbers. But when we start to talk about outcomes, we are talking about the so what of this. So for example, if Furniture Bank reached out to almost 7,000 clients in 2024, so what? What happened? What changed in their lives? So outcomes start to tell us about that change. And we basically, as I mentioned, through interviews, through focus groups, and through sort of secondary research and a review of Furniture Bank's reports, prior reports, we basically identified certain impact themes and outcomes that clients experiencing as a result of benefiting from Furniture Bank services. And we grouped them under 5 impact themes: improved quality of life, improved mental health, improved physical health, increased social inclusion, and for those clients who live with their families, increased sense of belonging and connection with family. So let's have a look at some of the results of these outcomes that the clients have experienced in the next slide. So all of the outcomes that you saw in the previous slide are listed here. They are listed in the order of how much they are experienced by individual clients. And we can see here that the outcome that's experienced the most number of clients is I worry less about money. And when you look at the other percentages in terms of what percent of respondents experience the outcome, you may say that it doesn't look like there is any other outcome that the majority of the clients seem to be experiencing. But when you look at the other column, which gives us the average importance of outcome that they assign to each of these outcomes, those clients who are experiencing this outcome, we see really high rates of importance attached to these. So there was a scale of 0 to 3, and for each outcome we also asked the clients how important this outcome was for them. And you can see that they are really high. They are all, I think, about 2.5 on a 0 to 3 scale, which actually then speaks to the diversity of the client base that Furniture Bank is serving in its sort of homing program. So that's why, although the percentage in terms of what percent of clients are experiencing this outcome might be low, it basically shows that different clients coming from different backgrounds and who are in different circumstances experience different outcomes as a result of engaging with Furniture Bank.
Yeah, it's the diversity of what makes a home. Eating better, being a part of the community, having self-esteem. This is all new for us, and we know we're getting it every single day now. And we see it as really quite fundamental to where we're going over the years, that if we start to see a change, we can now start to respond to it in the programs that we do.
And one thing I forgot to mention, that all of this data comes from a survey that is conducted, that is sent to clients 90 days after they visit a showroom, they visit Furniture Bank's showroom. So we basically wait for 3 months to see whether some of these outcomes are going to be sort of going to materialize, and they participate in those surveys, anonymous voluntary surveys. And some insights from clients in their own words about their experience and how they feel about Furniture Bank and its impact. Social service agencies is an audience group that we included in our impact measurement efforts this year. They are the backbone of the homing pillar. The clients come from. Clients are referred by social service agencies. And this year we conducted several focus group interviews to understand the impact of Furniture Bank services on social service agencies and the caseworkers who directly work with Furniture Bank staff. And we identified outcomes at 2 levels: individual level, so in terms of, for example, a frontline worker or a caseworker, what do they experience personally as a result of using Furniture Bank's programs for their clients, and some organizational outcomes as well. So what benefits are there for the organization? What difference does it make for the organization in terms of their work with Furniture Bank? And here we see some of the results. 85% of the respondents stated that working with Furniture Bank contributed to increased housing stability and improved outcomes for their clients. And for those agencies that provide accommodation facilities, 66% agreed or strongly agreed that working with Furniture Bank has reduced the time and resources they spend on procuring furniture. 74% agreed that it enhanced their capacity to support clients' needs. Furniture donors, from individual furniture donors, we actually have been collecting data for the past 2 years. We started collecting data in 2023. So this year we continued with this, and 89% felt more that they were giving back to others. 37% felt more that they were giving back to the planet. And we also asked them what would they have done if they didn't donate their furniture to Furniture Bank. And 18% would have thrown away their furniture if they didn't donate it to Furniture Bank. 69% would have donated it or given it away. 8% would have sold it, and 5% would have done something else. These results show some differences from last year. Dan, would you like to speak to that?
Two things around the feedback that we got from donors 2 years ago, 2023, we saw a much closer alignment between people and planet, giving back to others and to the planet. And this in 2024, the people response was the same. The planet response dropped significantly. Those 4 questions of what would you have done is that donors have a belief that they would, but our experience of what you believe to have been able to donate it and give it away versus the ability to actually succeed in donating and giving it away, I think is an area where we're going to explore further in 2025. It's not easy to donate or give away bulky furniture and home goods. It's not easy to sell it. And we have anecdotal evidence that the percentage that probably would have thrown it away is probably higher. And that's one area that we want to find better survey and data capture to validate those things. And this also informs how we go about communicating back the feedback loops on the work that we're doing with the donations that are being given to us.
So insights from the staff. Again, this was the first time in 2024 we also included Furniture Bank staff in the impact measurement activity and the SROI model. And we have identified outcomes under 4 impact themes for staff: increased social cohesion, satisfaction and feeling good about supporting families in need, improved mental health, and economic empowerment and financial well-being. And you see the results of these sort of outcomes and how much these outcomes were experienced by staff members in Furniture Bank. And I see that feeling more that they were giving back to others was the highest percentage, was the outcome that was experienced by most of the Furniture Bank staff. And it's followed by increased empathy towards others and some other outcomes: feeling more part of a community, feeling more that they were giving back to the planet. They experienced an increase in self-esteem and self-worth, and they had increased financial choice and independence and felt adequately compensated financially for work as well.
In this particular leg of our impact, we also looked at the efficacy of how you capture data. And I know and what I mean by that is how you create your capture methods for this data. If they're done well, there's no friction and you get people's attention and they can give you their unfiltered feedback. And when we reflect on how we executed it this year, it was far less elegant than some of the other data capture points that we have in place. So again, none of everything that you see here today is always improving in that you're reflecting on how you capture it. Did it get, what was the feedback after the fact? And staff, they're a lot more vocal. They'll happily tell you whether this was good or this was bad. So I think it's an important area that you're always trying to refine and make your measurement capture processes as effective and as least invasive for each of your beneficiaries as possible. Furniture Bank, when I joined, we didn't believe we had any role in environmental outcomes back in 2014. And we met Calvin Lakin from York University, who helped us understand that what we were doing was something he coined diversion with purpose. And he helped us create the mechanisms to capture the outputs that would be applied by waste professionals or people who are interested in carbon so that we could start mapping what is collected and kept out of landfill into our impact model.
This year, as a part of sort of our review and refresh of our SROI model, we also changed the outcomes and how we sort of approached outcomes for environment. And we did that by adopting the evaluation methodology developed by Valuing Impact. And we split it into two sort of impact themes, one of which is reduced environmental impact by avoiding the need for new furniture production. And it's all about waste diversion, but also negative environmental impact. New furniture didn't need to get produced. And the second one is actually on the negative side. This is the first time actually we included a negative impact in our model, which is the increased environmental impact due to furniture pickup and delivery of the sort of furniture delivery activity. And in 2024, Furniture Bank diverted 953 tons of furniture from landfills, and it prevented over 4,000 tons of carbon emissions. And at the same time, 148 tons of carbon emissions were generated through furniture pickup and delivery.
So that was the behind the scenes of what 2024 was. And we wanted to spend time talking about what we're intending on doing in 2025 and beyond. A couple of things that have occurred for Furniture Bank that are work to be done is we were awarded the Clear Impact Award. And Clear Impact is a software platform that provides, how would you describe it, Malik?
Impact measurement solutions, impact measurements and management platform. Yep. So it helps organizations to manage all of their impact measurement and management activity under one umbrella.
And some of the upsides of moving the detail that we have, you may have seen on Excel sheets earlier. It can be connected to our data, be regularly updated. Those dashboards can be publicly available so that they're always updating and being refined. Something that is very exciting for both Malik and I is it's also a platform that's aligned with the Common Approach to Impact Measurement, which is an organization here in Canada that's trying to create flexible impact measurement methodologies that allow charities to be in control of our own measurement approaches while still aligning to something that can be leveraged by large organizations and funders. So that's work to be done over the summer of 2025. One of the exciting things that we'd like to explore in the fall is the same methodology would allow other organizations that are on our support services using our systems to also be able to benefit